Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. As we close out Q1 and prepare to step into Q2, this is a powerful time for reflection and alignment and intention setting. Whether you are on a personal growth journey or building a business, creating rhythm and flow in your life and work is essential for sustainable success. Many people start the year off with resolutions and big goals, but as the months progress, they often find themselves disconnected from that initial vision. And that's why I want to guide you through a holistic approach, one that integrates self-awareness, structure, and intuitive alignment. And this is going to help you not only set goals, but actually feel good while you're achieving them. In today's episode, we're going to explore how to evaluate and reflect on Q1, set aligned intentions for Q2, and embrace seasonal energy shifts and implement holistic productivity strategies and develop long-term rhythms for success. And if you're someone who has struggled with consistency, and that's a lot of us, or you found yourself feeling overwhelmed, again, that's a lot of us. This episode is going to provide you with some practical tools and wisdom to shift into a more aligned, easeful, and empowered way of living and working. I'm excited about this one, guys. I really am, because let's dive in. You're about to find out why. Okay, let's start off by reflecting on Q1. So this episode drops March 31st. That is the last day of quarter one, Q1. And there are some lessons there. There was some growth that happened, and there is some realignment that probably needs to happen. So before we rush into Q2 with all these new goals, let's take a moment to pause and reflect on what Q1 has taught us. Because so often we move from one goal to the next without really giving ourselves time to acknowledge our growth and challenges and the lessons that we gained along the way. And reflection is the bridge between experience and wisdom. I'm going to say that again. Reflection is the bridge between experience and wisdom. This is why journaling is so important too, guys. By taking the time to review what worked, what didn't, and what felt aligned versus what felt forced, we can step into Q2 with clarity and intention and this renewed sense of purpose. And I'm going to say this again. even if you don't own a business, you can still and this is what we're going to talk about today, you can still think of your life in terms of Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And as we continue this conversation today, I think that you're going to see what I mean. So I don't want you to go, I don't own a business. Like this isn't for me. Yeah, keep listening because it is. This is a holistic approach to life and business. And this works for both. So I really do encourage you to stick around and see what you can pull. As always, with every episode that I sit down and share with you, take what's for you, leave what's not. Okay? Now, so let's talk about reflection, celebrating your wins, the big and the small. And a lot of people only celebrate these big milestones, but the truth is that every small win contributes to your overall growth. It contributes to your sense of self-efficacy. It contributes to your self-perception and your self-image. Maybe you launched something new. Maybe you stayed consistent with a habit. Maybe you navigated a challenging situation with more grace than before. Celebrate. Like those are wins too. When you take time to acknowledge and celebrate your wins, you are creating positive reinforcement, which makes it easier to stay motivated. And guys, we all know we need that motivation. We need that motivation. It makes a difference when you feel motivated. And look, there's not one soul in this world that feels motivated 100% of the time. There's not. No one feels motivated 100% of the time. And when we aren't motivated, that's kind of when discipline kicks in, right? But what I'm saying is that it is easier to keep going when you do feel motivated, right? It is easier. And what I'm telling you is that when you can take the time to acknowledge and celebrate the wins, even the small ones, you are creating that positive reinforcement and it makes it easier to stay motivated, period. So celebrate. Okay. One great practice is to write down like 3 things that you're proud of from Q1. That could be one thing from each month. Maybe it was 3 things that happened all back to back to back. I don't know. But, and then you don't have to limit it to 3, but let's just say 3. Write down 3 things you're proud of. And they can be personal, they can be professional, they can be mindset shifts that made a difference. But document it, write it down, capture it in your journal. The key is to feel the energy of those wins. What do they teach you? What qualities did you embody to make them happen or to allow them to happen? Make them happen seems so like forced. But what qualities did you embody to like facilitate the happening of them? And then focus on the energy. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything is energy. And also keep in mind that celebrating your progress is not just about feeling good. It's about recognizing the momentum that you've already built. Progress and momentum, right? These things go hand in hand. And when you're making progress, you start to feel the momentum and it feels good. And when you feel the momentum, you feel like you're making progress. And I always like the opportunity to throw this in because it's one of my favorites. This is Abraham Hicks. And it's that the definition of momentum is the absence of chronic resistance. So momentum is the absence of chronic resistance. Now, if you like science, you can even imagine in your mind, right, how this is a little science experiment, something there being resistant, some sort of a carpet with the ball rolling down. When you remove that resistance and you give it a smooth surface, right, it can roll a lot faster. And the same is true in our life. Or think of a football player with the sleds on the field, right, in training, and they're running with that sled that has all the weights on it, and it's creating that resistance. And so they're running, but they're like running while they're pushing this sled with all these weights on it or pulling it. And then when you take off the belt or stop pushing the sled with the weights as you're walking or running, and you release the resistance, then look at the momentum, then you take off, right? The same is true in our life. So momentum is the absence of chronic resistance. And when you're not resisting, you're definitely making progress. It all goes together. It's kind of fun to think about, at least for me. So we were reflecting on the wins, but I also want you to identify what felt heavy or out of alignment. Because just like we celebrate the wins, it's equally important to notice what felt off, what was draining, what was forced in Q1. Maybe you overcommitted. Maybe you pushed yourself too hard. Maybe you pursued something that didn't feel right. Awareness is the first step to realignment. And there's another word here I like, calibrate. Like we always want to be calibrating, taking notice of where we are, and then calibrating, making adjustments. And look, if you can calibrate. Sometimes we have to make a full-on pivot, but sometimes it's just these little calibrations, these little minor adjustments to calibrate, to come back into alignment. I want you to ask yourself, now we're looking back at Q1, and I want you to ask yourself, where did I feel the most resistance? Was it a mindset block? Was it a system that wasn't working? Maybe it was an onboarding system. Maybe it was for new clients, or maybe it was something in the back end. I don't know. Was it something that maybe didn't align with your values? Where did you feel the most resistance in Q1? And again, this can be personal, professional, etc. And this isn't about judgment. I always like to remind you, this isn't about judgment. It's about self-awareness so that you can shift into greater ease in Q2. So we're not sitting here judging ourselves, beating ourselves up, shaming ourselves, feeling guilty. Like self-shaming is self-sabotage. And we're going to meet ourselves with loving kindness and this is just a practice of self-awareness. And once you've identified these areas, start to brainstorm some small shifts that could create a lighter and more aligned experience moving forward. And do that in your journal or in your phone, in your notes or whatever. But just make it a point to do that. What are some small shifts? I want to feel a little lighter, a little more aligned moving forward as we move into this new quarter. And look, you could have had a really amazing Q1. Q1 could have been awesome. Okay, great. And I still bet there's something somewhere in there where you could identify there was a little bit of resistance. And so this isn't about judging yourself or harshly or trying to seek out what's wrong. It's just wanting to notice and become aware of and shine the light of your consciousness on any areas that could be creating a little bit more of resistance, a little bit of where you could just a little bit of heaviness, a little bit of just something where you could relax into it a little more. And you could create a little more lightness, space, flow. You know, reflection allows us to move forward with wisdom and clarity rather than repeating old patterns. And by acknowledging your wins and recognizing areas for realignment, you give yourself permission to step into Q2 with this sense of renewal and purpose. And it's like, take a deep breath in, exhale it all out, and then we're going to step into this. It's like a new start, a fresh start. And once we've reflected on Q1 and it's time to set the tone for Q2, but rather than setting rigid goals, I want to invite you to approach this season with intention. Because intentions guide your energy and actions without feeling restrictive. And so instead of focusing solely on outcomes, think about how you want to feel. How do you want to show up? What values do you want to embody? And it's good to have goals that are outcome based. You want to launch this project. You want to finish this, complete this, roll this out. You want to hit these sales, these numbers, right? That's okay. But also, like, how do you want to feel? How do you want to show up? And what values do you want to embody? And so let's talk about aligning your intentions with your core values, because, you know, many people set their goals on external expectations rather than what truly aligns with their values. And if you want to create sustainable success, because, you know, you can achieve success, but we're not going for the one-hit wonder success, right? We want sustainable success. We just want to continue to sustain that level of success. And the way that we're going to do that, your intentions need to be rooted in what matters most to you. So ask yourself, what do I want to prioritize in Q2? What will bring me joy, fulfillment, alignment? And write it down. Write down 3 to 5 core values that you want to center your decisions around. And when your intentions align with your values, it becomes easier to make choices that feel right for you in this season. And that's why it's good to visit this each quarter, guys, because depending on what season of life you're in, look, your needs are going to change. All of these things, what feels right for you in the moment is going to change when you have a newborn baby and you're not getting much sleep. And then when you're at a stage in your life when maybe you have a parent that you are now a caretaker for. And that might be a totally different season than if you have just started your new business. And this is brand new, right? Like all of these things, what we need, it's going to change. It's going to change from season to season, from person to person, but also what season of life are you in right now? And so keep checking in. This is going to change year to year, even season to season, quarter to quarter. Your values may not change, but some of these things about what feels right for you in that moment. What do you want to prioritize in this quarter? What will bring you joy, fulfillment, alignment in this season, in this quarter? That's what I'm saying. Like, let's actually look at this little segment of time. We'll call it time. Right here, these 3 months, these next ones coming up. April, May, June. So now you're going to write down your 3 to 5 core values that you're going to center your decisions around. And now you're going to be able to align your intentions with your values. And you're going to be creating this energizing Q2 vision. And vision is powerful because it gives your actions purpose and direction. And instead of focusing on those rigid goals, create a Q2 vision statement that excites you. Like, okay, here's an example. In Q2, I am stepping into more flow, creativity, and abundance. And I'm prioritizing my well-being and deepening my impact and allowing success to feel good. Now, that's the kind of intention I like to set, right? That's not so much, that's not focused on a rigid goal, so to speak. There aren't any numbers there. I'm not talking about, there's nothing about profit margins or anything like that. It's like I'm stepping into more flow and more creativity and more abundance. And I'm prioritizing how I feel and my well-being. And I'm going to deepen my impact and I'm going to allow success to feel good. I mean, can you see like that's my intention. And so write your vision statement and read it every morning and keep yourself aligned with the energy you want to embody. And, this is about moving with intention and not just productivity. And look, I get it. It's important to be productive. I love to be productive, but I also want to prioritize moving with intention. And intentions, they shape how we move through life. And by setting aligned intentions for Q2, you create a clear, energized, and inspired path moving forward. And who doesn't want that? So, I would say next, it would be important to embrace seasonal shifts and align with natural cycles. Because each quarter of the year carries a distinct seasonal energy, and that's going to impact both our personal and our professional lives. And when we sync with the rhythms, rather than resisting them, then we can create more ease and balance and alignment in our lives. And the energy of the spring, a season of growth, that's where we're at. That's exciting. Q2 begins with spring. It is a season of renewal, of expansion, and momentum. And just as nature blossoms, this is a time to plant new seeds and take inspired action. And this energy of the spring of Q2, it supports fresh ideas. It supports creative projects and refining what you've already started. And so one way you can align with this is by decluttering and refreshing your space and infusing new energy into your work. So think about it like this. What areas of your life or business need a spring cleaning? Because guys, I know you've heard that before, spring cleaning, spring cleaning. This is why, because this is the energy of the spring. And so again, align with that energy, declutter, refresh in your space, bring new energy into your work, into your life. This is the season. And you can balance that action with restoration, because while spring is this time of momentum, that does not mean hustling nonstop. Okay? Because I am anti-burnout culture. And you guys know that if you've been tuning in to this podcast, then you know I was the old busy like a badge of honor and hustle and grind, hustle and grind, hustle and grind, where you run yourself into the ground. And that's not the way. And these days, it's all about align and flow. And so I recognize, and I'm here to make sure that you understand that sustainable success, let me rephrase that. I now recognize, and I'm here to make sure that you also understand this, that sustainable success requires balancing action with rest. Guys, when I was back in these days that I'm talking about, some of my catchphrases were, I'll sleep when I'm dead. There aren't enough hours in the day. Oh wait, I know there's another one. It's on the tip of my tongue. But even those two, I think those two kind of paint a picture, right? I'll sleep when I'm dead and there aren't enough hours in the day. It was just, and I could not fathom, I could not wrap my head around how anybody could take a nap that wasn't a baby. How can you take a nap? It was like the thought of taking a nap, the guilt of thinking of taking a nap with everything I had to do alone would have prevented me from actually taking the nap. I don't even know that I could have done it if I wanted to. And now I will happily take a nap if my body's telling me, hey, it's time for a nap. But I resisted that because, again, there was no balance. And therefore, there was no harmony within my body. There was a lot of illness, injury, disease, dis-ease, all of that kind of stuff that was manifesting as well. This is what happens, guys. So this is why now I coach life and business alignment, because as an entrepreneur myself, I've been one since college, and I've been an entrepreneur both ways, and I recognize how easy it is to go down that path of hustle, grind, hustle, grind, hustle, grind, burnout, 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 and not even know. And almost, at least it was glorified in a way. There was, at least the energy that I was tapped into, it was this real, which is why you'll often hear me say the phrase wearing busy like a badge of honor. It was almost something I was proud of, how hard I was working myself and how little sleep I was getting and just how I was running on fumes, and it was so unhealthy, and I wasn't setting a good example, and it wasn't sustainable. Ultimately, it wasn't sustainable. So, all that to say this, sustainable success requires balancing action with rest. And I want you to build intentional pauses into your schedule, and whether that's, through mindfulness practices or nature walks or even setting stronger boundaries. You guys know, I think I've done an episode where we dove into boundaries. But you actually block this, and especially this goes for anyone, but especially entrepreneurs. Hey guys, how are we looking on those calendars? On your time blocking. That's important. You've got to time block. You've got to be intentional with your day and how you plan your day out and you schedule your day, and you've got to plan those intentional pauses in. One of the things that I do when I'm doing focused work, you guys know Brendan Burchard. He's one of the world's leading, or if not the world's leading, high performance coach. He's been one of my coaches for a while, and one thing he teaches and that I implement is working in these scheduled spurts, which it's like when you're doing focused work, not just working straight through for 3 hours, 4 hours, or something like that, but doing, 50 minutes on and then taking a 10-minute break and then doing it like that. So if, let's say, you're working 3 hours of focused work, you would really be working, and I'll do this, set the timer, 50 minutes, focused work, 50 minutes. That means you're not checking your phone. You're not getting up and wandering to the kitchen to look for a snack or anything like that. You're working for 50 minutes. And then when the timer goes off, then you got 10 minutes. You step away from the work, and then you stretch. You do a little vinyasa flow. You take a little walk around the block, around the office, around the building. You go get that snack. You maybe check your DMs or your Instagram story, whatever you were needing to do that you were going to distract yourself from your work by doing before, but you didn't because you're focused work for 50 minutes. And then you get that 10 minutes and you do your little, maybe it's a little 5-minute meditation. Maybe it's a little couple deep breaths, whatever the case may be. And then when it goes off, that 10 minutes is over. You set it for 50 minutes again, and it's back to focused work. That 50 minutes, you're not getting on your phone. You're not scrolling. You're not checking your emails, unless emails is the focused work you're doing. You understand what I'm saying? You're focused on your focused work. And then when that timer goes off, get away from your computer. You don't want to just be staring at a screen. You need to be looking at something far away and not at blue light and things like that. Go outside, especially if you work at a desk. Go outside, be in the sun, smell the fresh air, or even just walk around your building. Do something so you're not just sitting in a chair. Your body needs to move. So schedule it in. Or even whatever you're doing, if you got meetings back to back, Zooms and things like this, time block an hour in there that you're going to go to the park and take a walk. The more you honor your energy cycles, the more productive and creative you will be. Been there, done that. I've lived it. I'm telling you guys. There's studies that show, and also it's true. I've experienced it myself. I want you to experience it as well. So ask yourself this: how can I create a Q2 that feels expansive yet balanced? And I want you to reflect on this. We talked about nature and going for walks, and nature shows us that life moves in seasons and cycles. And so keep that in mind. And by honoring these rhythms, you really do create harmony between growth and restoration. And I want you to allow Q2 to unfold with more flow and ease. Now, holistic productivity. I mentioned productivity earlier. And what is holistic productivity? It's this idea of working smarter, not harder, which we all love, right? One of the biggest shifts that you can make in Q2 is to move from hustle and burnout to aligned productivity. And many people think productivity is about doing more, like checking off longer to-do lists and constantly pushing. But real productivity isn't about working harder. It is about working smarter and in flow with your energy. And when you build a rhythm that works for you, productivity becomes sustainable and success feels more natural. So align your schedule with your energy cycles. Traditional productivity methods, they often ignore individual energy rhythms, which is why so many people feel exhausted or unmotivated. And instead of forcing yourself into these rigid schedules, start paying attention to when you feel most focused, most creative, or in most need of rest. And then try structuring your day around your energy peaks and dips. And like schedule deep work during your high energy hours and your lighter task during your slower periods. And, if you're an entrepreneur, batch your task to maximize your focus. I cannot emphasize this enough. Batch working. For instance, maybe you have one day, you dedicate one day to content creation, another day to admin work, another day to calls, or however you want to do it. Like I right here, I'm doing it right now. I get the recording studio, it's like I'll book it for, I got a 6-hour session today and I'm batch recording episodes. I have a content calendar. I plan out. So I always know on the calendar what's coming up, what's launching, what's going on, what the dates are. And so I know what my topics are going to be. And I have an outline, an idea to keep the conversation flowing, right? I have an idea of what I'm going to say. And so I come in here with my days I'm going to record, and I know what the topic's going to be, and I have an outline that's got a couple riffs, maybe 4 to 6 highlights I want to hit on. And then I come in here and I riff. And it's easy because I got the setups done. I get here, I've got my planner, and it's easy to batch create. To show up and I'm like, I set the intention. All right, today I'm going to create. I'm going to go sit down and be in this space and create value. And you understand what I'm saying? And I get in the mindset. And plus I'm driving to the recording studio one time. I'm parking in the parking garage one time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Driving home once. And you might get 4 episodes batch created. Well, think about if I was doing that each time and I'm adding the drive time, the parking garage time, the walking time, right? Makes more sense. I'm conserving energy. It even, doesn't it just sound a lot more exhausting of like having to do this every time, come back each week to do this and fit it into your schedule and go through all that? Or, hey, let me just set one day the month ahead where I'm going to schedule it. I'm going to go in, be in the mood, create all my content, batch create the episodes for the following month. And then another day I'll batch edit and batch upload, right? And this is how you create rhythm and flow in your business. And you can do this in your life as well. And when I used to paint, it was the same thing when I was a full-time artist. I would have lots of orders and it was like, okay, let me cut all the boards. Let me get all the boards cut and sanded. And then it's like, let me paint all the backgrounds when I was doing all these chalkboards. Let me just get all the chalkboards painted. And then I had a whole stack of chalkboards and it was like, let me get them all penciled in. And then here's the first coats on all 25 of them or whatever I was doing, right? That batch just kind of gets your energy flowing. It maximizes focus. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. The key, not with just batching, but the key is synchronizing your work with your natural energy flow rather than fighting against it. And some of you ladies who have a menstrual cycle may be familiar with that like the different phases of a menstrual cycle, the luteal phase, the ovulation phase, like all of these, the different phases, you have different energies for each phase. When you're more creative, when you're more inward, right? And so just like the seasons of the year. And so some women like to actually look at their own menstrual cycle and then plan their work and their life around their own cycle, because your energy changes depending on what part of the cycle you're in. And this is just another way that you can tap in and tune in and Pay attention and structure your life around your energy peaks and dips. Okay. The power of intentional rest and recovery. Now, guys, I'm a high achiever. I'm sure a lot of you listening are also high achievers. And high achievers often believe that rest is unproductive. I just told you a story that used to be me. I was like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I couldn't even imagine taking a nap or resting or being, quote, unproductive. But in reality, rest is a success strategy, period. You have to rest. You have to schedule in intentional breaks and recovery time and mindfulness practices. That is how you avoid burnout, and that is how you maintain long-term momentum. You know, when I used to do that, you know what else I used to do? So I would go, I would skip sleep. You know, it was not uncommon for me to have nights where I wouldn't sleep. I would work through the night. And, or maybe lay down for like an hour, you know, and then it was usually like, well, if I do that, I'm not going to wake up. So I would typically probably just stay awake. And I would do that, and I would maybe do it or go through these phases where I was getting maybe 2 or 3 hours of sleep a night. And I would do it for several nights in a row until I would just crash and then, you know, end up getting sick, getting some sort of something, a flu, a cold, a this, a that, a sinus infection. You know, my body, I would wear my immune system down and then end up getting sick. And then it would just really put me out because I was not prioritizing my rest or my sleep. And there are consequences, and it was not sustainable. So guys, I'm telling you, rest is a success strategy. So, and again, rest is not just about sleep. It's about active recovery, meditation. I used to not even know what meditation was. So no shame if you've never meditated before. Honestly, guys, no shame. But I'm here to tell you, start today. I have free guided meditations. You can download them. They're free. They're on my website. I can even do them in the show notes. And there's a great episode on unlocking your full potential, meditation in the quantum field. Check it out. But what I'm saying is meditate. No shame if you've never meditated before. It's okay, but start now. Meditate. Movement. There's no excuse. Move your body. There's honestly no excuse, guys. Move your body. Time in nature. Or creative play. Like, that's rest too. You know, one thing, I've recently got a coloring book. I say recently, in the last couple months, and I just have it on my desk in my room. And I'll sometimes, if I'm just feeling it, just open it up to whatever page I just open it to, and I'm like, okay, and I'm going to just sit here until I color this picture. And it's really nice, and sometimes I have to close the book before I finish, but when I do open it up, I kind of say, like, this is just what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit here and color. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And that is not an unproductive way to spend my time. And it wouldn't be an unproductive way for you to spend your time either. It's meditative, it's relaxing, it's good. And I want you to ask yourself how can I build intentional rest into my Q2 plan? Actually, make it a plan. Like, incorporate rest into your plan. Because when you honor your body and your mind, you actually enhance your ability to perform at a high level. So, holistic productivity is not exhaustion. It's alignment. It's about alignment, not exhaustion, okay? And by working with your energy and balancing action with rest and optimizing your workflow, Q2 can feel both productive and sustainable. That's my plan. I'm going into it being like, I'm going to be productive and sustainable. And I'm going to feel good. And I'm not going to, because I'm coming out of Q1. I mean, it's like, if you feel exhausted, well then guys, we need to check in. Like if you are tuning in today going, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. I am exhausted. Q1, like these last 3 months have really done me in. Okay, let's evaluate. Let's see why. And do we need to calibrate? Do we need to adjust? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to reprioritize? What needs to happen so that we can bring and invite and allow more ease and flow into these next 3 months of our life? Now, so from here, so now we're evaluating, and then I want to talk about developing a long-term rhythms for success. Because while I do want Q2 to be successful for you, success isn't only about short bursts of motivation, okay? It's about long-term rhythms that are going to support your well-being and creativity and momentum. And if Q1 felt chaotic or inconsistent, then Q2 is the perfect time to create systems that keep you moving forward with ease. And a strong rhythm isn't restrictive. It's freeing because it creates a structure that allows flow to happen effortlessly. Okay? And that's a misconception sometimes that we have, especially those of us who are just like, I just want to be free. I just want to be free, right? Just free to do what I want when I want. I just want to be free. And you feel like structure or this strong rhythm is going to be restrictive and it's going to take away your freedom. But guys, it's just the opposite. When you have this strong rhythm, because it creates the structure that allows that flow to happen effortlessly, that is what is freeing. That is the freeing thing. So do not resist structure. Do not resist the rhythm. Lean in and design a weekly and a monthly rhythm that feels good. You want a schedule that you love, that feels good. A morning routine that feels good. You know, many people struggle with consistency because they don't have a clear rhythm for their days or their weeks or their months. And it's really hard to be consistent when you don't have a clear rhythm. And when you can create a rhythm and flow to your day, and even break your day down to your morning, to your evening. So I kind of got my morning routine, right? My meditation, my journaling, my growth day, I've got my things that I do every morning to make the bed, get some water, hydrate, have some morning lemon detox tea, right? Like sit by the fire, do my affirmations, because I do have one of these little, this is a total side note, but I have one of these heaters in my bedroom that, it plugs in like an electric heater that looks like a fireplace. And I'm a double fire sign. I'm a fire sign. And I guess maybe it's the fire sign in me. I sit in front of this thing year round. It does not matter if it is 110 degrees outside. I'm not kidding. I'll sit in front of the fire and do my meditations. And I don't know, but I do it. So that's part of my morning routine. But I'm saying all that to say this. My morning routine, and I have my my skincare morning routine and stuff. But here's the thing, because I have this clear rhythm for my day, the way my mornings go, where I'm doing the same things, and I've got my affirmations, my gratitude, my mindfulness, my meditation, my journaling, my growth day, like I said, my setting my schedule for the day, just all of these things. I am consistent with all of those things that I want to do with my morning routine, because there's a rhythm to it. There's a flow to it. It's the same thing. It's what I do. 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 Right? And that doesn't mean that there's no flexibility, that you've got to be so rigid about it. But I'm consistent with these things because I've habit stacked. And now I've gotten to the point that it's just the rhythm and flow to my day. It's what I do. It's what I do. And this is for every area of your life. Every area. I'm going to give you another little, what might be silly example, but maybe it's not. I love dry brushing. This is like an Ayurvedic practice. It's great for lymphatic drainage. It's great for your skin. It's great for your body. If you're not already dry brushing, dry brush. You know what speaking of, I'll come back to that. But so my dry brush, I love to do it. And one of the ways that I can do it consistently is I kind of am in the habit of, while my bath water is running, that is when I dry brush. That's when I do it. That's the rhythm and flow. Like, I know while I start to run the water, and then I can get undressed, and while the water is running, that's when I do my dry brushing. It is a way that I have stayed consistent with this practice over the years, because I just developed some sort of a rhythm to it. Start to run the bath water, get the dry brush, get undressed, dry brush while the water's running, right? It's just, and I've stayed consistent because that's the rhythm of it. So instead of randomly approaching each day, what I'm saying is this: create a weekly framework that supports your goals and well-being. And I know I went from dry brushing to a weekly framework, but I wanted to give you an example because I know sometimes examples help. And then I want to get back to what we were talking about, which was just that you're going to be a whole lot less likely to be consistent if you were just randomly approaching each day. Guys, if you're not using your schedule, if you're not using your calendar, if you're not using your planner, if you don't have a rhythm and flow to your days, you're going to struggle with consistency. Whether that's exercise, whether that's with your nutrition, whether that's with your some habits you want to build, keeping your house tidy, whether that's, I don't even know, anything in your life you want to do, a hobby, a passion, something you're trying to learn. So instead of randomly approaching each day, create a weekly framework that supports your goals and well-beings. And here's an example. So like Monday, strategy and planning. Tuesday, content creation. Wednesday, calls and meetings. Thursday, deep work. Friday, creative, personal development. This allows you to create momentum without decision fatigue or burnout. And I'm going to tell you, decision fatigue is a real thing. And some of you probably know this. You've heard it. It's why people like Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day, right? The blue jeans, the black turtleneck, because you only get so many decisions a day, he would say, and I'm not going to use one of mine on choosing what to wear. And there's lots of people that do that, not just him. I know Dean Grazioli, I did coaching with him, and he would say the same thing. He has a gray t-shirt that he wears, and he would say the same thing. You are pretty much always going to see me wearing this gray t-shirt, and that is the reason, decision fatigue. Like, lots of successful people who will eliminate that choice of like deciding what to wear by just wearing the same thing. Now, all that to say this, so going back to when you're not having to decide what to wear every day, or what am I going to do today? Well, I know. What's today? Tuesday? Oh, Tuesday's content creation. Oh, what am I going to do today? I'm not just randomly approaching each day. Oh, it's Thursday. I do deep work on Thursdays. I don't even have to burn out or get tired trying to decide what to do. I already know what to do. So ask yourself this, guys. What kind of rhythm would make Q2 feel smooth and structured and aligned? And write that down in your journal. Do a voice note. Just document it somehow. Now, the importance of reviewing and adjusting your rhythm regularly is that the best rhythms evolve. And if something isn't working, you just adjust it. Okay? Good news. If something isn't working, adjust it. At the end of each month, take like 30 minutes to review what's flowing and what needs tweaking. And ask yourself, where am I in alignment? And where am I resisting? And what needs more structure and what needs more flexibility? Guys, business and life are constantly shifting, and your rhythm can and should adapt and grow with you. So give yourself permission to experiment until you find a flow that feels right. And when you create rhythms that feel good, success becomes second nature. By developing a weekly and a monthly structure, and then checking in regularly and allowing space for adjustments, you set yourself up for long-term ease and momentum and joy. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm here for the long-term ease and momentum and joy. Okay? So as we step into Q2, I want to remind you of this. You get to create a life and business that feels good. You get to. And this is your time to refine and align and step into a rhythm that supports you. And I'm not just talking about in terms of achieving goals, but in feeling present and in feeling fulfilled and energized along the way. So, if Q1 didn't go exactly how you planned, that's okay. It is. Every quarter is a new opportunity to align. And again, take what resonates from today's episode and put it into action. And write down your reflections and set intentions and sync with the seasonal energy. This is the spring. Guys, growth, renewal, expansion. Okay? Optimize your workflow. Build a rhythm that works for you. And I would love to hear your biggest takeaway from today's episode. DM me on Instagram or share this episode and tag me. And, if this resonated with you, take a moment to leave a review. And this helps the message reach more people who need it. And again, if you have some really great practices about rhythm and flow in your life, in your day, in your quarters, share it. I would love to hear. What are you doing? What are you doing in your life that's working? I would love to hear what you're doing. So share that as well. And here is to an aligned and energized and expansive Q2. Let's create rhythm and flow together, guys. I will see you online. Be sure that you have signed up for the email list if you've not done that already. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. if you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditthenreallifedit.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.